Hi, students and friends. This is your host, AYAZ. You're watching Learn and Teach by AYAZ. So I'm continuing my IGCSE Chemistry 0620 past paper session. And this time I have selected variant 23. It's of May, June 2024. You know, it's paper 2, multiple choice extended version. The total time for this paper is 45 minutes. There are 40 questions in this paper. Total marks for this paper is 40. You are allowed to use calculator. Whatever rough working you want to do, you will do this on this paper. Periodic table is printed in the question paper. So let's start the paper. Here's question number 1. Sodium chloride is a liquid at 900 degrees centigrade. Which row describes the arrangement and the motion of the particles in sodium chloride at 900 degrees centigrade? So if sodium chloride exists as a liquid state, in a liquid state at 900 degrees centigrade, so you can't have a regular arrangement of particles. So both A and B is incorrect. Either C is correct or D is correct. What about the motion of particles? They can't vibrate because it's not in the solid state. So C is also incorrect. D must be the right answer. These particles move randomly. Question number 2. Hydrogen chloride gas HCl reacts with ammonia gas NH3 to form solid ammonium chloride. The apparatus is set up as shown. After a few minutes, a white cloud of solid ammonium chloride forms where the two gases meet. You see the tube here? We have source of hydrogen chloride gas on the left-hand side and source of ammonia gas on the right-hand side. In the middle, we are getting solid ammonium chloride. The experiment is repeated using hydrogen bromide gas, HBr, in place of hydrogen chloride. How far along the tube does the white cloud of solid ammonium bromide form? Again, you have source of hydrogen bromide in this case, instead of hydrogen chloride on the left-hand side, and the source of ammonia on the same side, which is the right-hand side. Now they are asking how far along the tube does the white cloud of solid ammonium bromide form. So both of these gases will diffuse, and the rate of diffusion depends on the mass or the density of these gases. Hydrogen chloride is HCl and hydrogen bromide is HBr. Let's compare the masses of these two. Whereas chlorine is in group 7, second element in the group 7. The AR of chlorine is 35.5. You know the AR of hydrogen is 1. Bromine, it's also in group 7. AR of bromine is 80. Now I'm going to calculate the MR of both of these. For HCl, you will get 36.5 and HBr, you're getting 80. So HBr is heavier than HCl, so it will travel slowly. So definitely the cloud of solid ammonium bromide form in this case must be at A. It can't be at B because of higher mass of HBr. So A must be the right answer in this case. Question number 3. Substances P and Q both conduct electricity. P is a mixture of two different types of atom. Q is made of only one type of atom, which row describes P and Q. So both are conducting electricity, can be either metal, alloy, or graphite. Graphite is the allotrope of carbon, which conducts electricity. So what they are saying again, P is a mixture of two different types of atoms. So it means it must be alloy. So either A is correct or B is correct. C and D is incorrect. Q is made up of only one type of atom. So it means it's an element. This one is alloy and this one is element. So A must be the right answer in this case. Moving to next MCQ. An atom of element R contains 15 protons, 16 neutrons, and 15 electrons. What is R? 15 proton, let's look at the element in the periodic table. 15 means it must be phosphorus. Phosphorus has 15 protons. So it's for sure it's phosphorus. Number of electrons are also 15. So it must be phosphorus in this case. Which molecule contains a double covalent bond between two atoms of the same element? A is carbon dioxide. Displayed formula for carbon dioxide. This is the displayed formula of carbon dioxide. You see the double bonds between two different atoms, so A can't be the correct answer. What about ethanol? Displayed formula for ethanol. This is the displayed formula. I can't see any double bond between two atoms. So it's very important. It must be double covalent bond. So B is incorrect. What about C? It's ethene. C double bond C. C must be the right answer because double bond is present between two atoms of the same element. For your convenience, I'm checking the D, nitrogen. Nitrogen exists in the N2 state. It forms N triple bond N. So this is also incorrect. C must be the right answer in this case. Moving to the next question, which is 6. Silicon 4 oxide is a covalently bonded compound. Which statements are correct? 1. Silicon atoms form 4 single bonds in silicon 4 oxide. This statement is correct. Now, if statement 1 is correct, so either A is correct or B is correct, both C and D is incorrect. Okay, let's see the second statement. Oxygen atoms form 2 double bonds in silicon 4 oxide. This is incorrect. It does not form 2 double bonds. It forms single bonds with silicon. What about the silicon 4 oxide has a high melting point? This statement is also correct. So B must be the right answer. No need to read the last statement. It must be wrong. For your convenience, I'm reading the statement. Silicon 4 oxide contains 1 silicon atom, 4 oxygen atom, which is wrong. The formula for silicon 4 oxide is SiO2. So B is the correct answer in this case. The equation for the reaction of iron 3 oxide with carbon monoxide is shown. Fe2O3 plus 3CO gives 2Fe plus 3CO2. What is the percentage yield of iron when 16.8 gram of carbon monoxide reacts completely with iron 3 oxide to form 8.96 gram of iron? No, they are asking the percentage yield of carbon. The experimental value of iron is given, which is 8.96. So we have carbon monoxide and iron here. The MR for carbon monoxide, if you look at the periodic table, 12 is the AR of carbon, and for oxygen, 16 is the AR of oxygen. And oxygen is 56. So we have 12 plus 16, 28, 28 multiplied by 3, 84. grams gives 56 multiplied by 2, 112 gram of iron. Therefore, 16.8 gram gives X gram of iron. So X is equal to 16.8 multiplied by 112 divided by 84. 16.8 multiplied by 112 divided by 84. 22.4. So 22.4 gram is the mass of iron which we will get from this. They gave 8.96. So 8.96 multiplied by 100 divided by theoretical value, which is 22.4. 8.6 multiplied by 100 divided by 22.4. 40%. So B must be the right answer in this case. 8. What is the volume of 14.5 gram of gaseous butane C4H10 at room temperature and pressure? You know that 1 mole of any gas occupies 24 dm cube at RTP. RTP is room temperature pressure. So we need to convert this mass of butane into moles. So moles of butane, you know the formula, mass divided by mR. Mass divided by mR. Mass is provided, which is 14.5. For mR, we have 4 atoms of carbon and 10 atoms of hydrogen. 4 multiplied by 12, 48. 48 plus 10, 58. So the number of moles of butane, 14.5 divided by 58, 0.25. 0.25 is the moles of butane. You simply have to multiply these moles by 24 in order to get the volume of gas. So B must be the right answer. D must be the right answer. In B, you have centimeter cube. In D, it's 6 dm cube. So D is the right answer in this case. Move to next question. It's question number 9. Aqueous copper 2 sulfate is electrolyzed using copper electrodes. We have solution of aqueous copper 2 sulfate with copper electrodes. Which statement describes what happens during the electrolysis? A. Copper atoms gain electrons at the cathode and copper 2 ions lose electrons at the anode. This is incorrect because copper ions will gain electron at the cathode. So this statement is wrong. You have copper ions. B. Electrons move in the external circuit from the positive electrode to the negative electrode. This statement looks correct to me, because positive electrode is this. You see the positive electrode is anode and negative electrode is cathode, and electron moves from anode to cathode. So this statement looks correct to me. For your convenience, I'm reading the other statements also. Copper 2 ions move through the electrolyte from the cathode to the anode. Now copper ions, they are moving from the cathode to the anode. This is incorrect because copper ions will move from anode to cathode. So C is incorrect. What about D? Copper is formed at the cathode and oxygen is formed at the anode. This is incorrect. You will get the copper at cathode, but you won't get oxygen at the anode. So B must be the right answer in this case. Number 10. Electrolysis is carried out on concentrated aqueous potassium bromide using inert electrodes. Which products are formed at the anode and the cathode? Now you have concentrated aqueous potassium bromide. So you know potassium is highly reactive, so you won't get potassium at cathode. At cathode, you will definitely get hydrogen. So either A is correct. You have only A choice. That must be correct because we are not having a hydrogen at cathode in other cases. So all the B, C, and D is incorrect. You will get bromine at the anode. So A must be the right answer in this case. Hydrogen oxygen fuel cells and gasoline are each used to power cars. Which statement describes an advantage of using hydrogen oxygen fuel cells in cars in comparison with gasoline engines? A. Hydrogen is a non-renewable resource. This is incorrect. Hydrogen is not a non-renewable resource. A renewable resource can get from hydrogen gas from different resources. So it's not non-renewable. B. Hydrogen is produced during the fractional distillation of petroleum. We are not getting hydrogen gas during the fractional distillation of petroleum. We are getting different fractions of petroleum. C. Hydrogen oxygen fuel cells do not release carbon. This statement look correct to me because the only product here we are getting is water, not carbon dioxide. So this statement looks correct to me. For your convenience, I'm reading the last statement. Hydrogen oxygen fuel cells need electricity to work. This is also incorrect. It is used to produce electricity. Does not require electricity to work. So C must be the right answer in this case. 12. Plant cells use energy from sunlight for photosynthesis. Which row describes and explains the energy change that occurs? Now remember, the type of energy change in this photosynthesis is endothermic. It's not exothermic. So both C and D is incorrect. It's either A or B. Now explanation of energy change. Endothermic means less energy is released making bonds than is absorbed to break bonds. So A must be the right statement because less energy is released. If you compare it to the energy needed for breaking bond as well as for making of the bond. In breaking of the bond, more energy is needed than the energy needed for breaking the bond. So A must be the right answer in this case. B is also incorrect. MCQ number 13. Two different experiments are done to find the enthalpy change delta H of each reaction. The temperature of each reaction mixture is measured at the beginning of the reaction and after 3 minutes. So here we are having experiment 1 and experiment 2. This is initial and final temperatures. That's temperature after 3 minutes for each experiment. Which row gives the correct sign for the value of delta H for each experiment and identifies if the reaction is endothermic or exothermic? So in experiment 1, the initial temperature is 26 degrees centigrade. It's 26 degrees. And the temperature decreases, that is reaches to 16, 17 degrees centigrade, which means temperature has dropped. So it must be endothermic. That's for sure that must be endothermic and the sign for endothermic is positive. So either C is correct or T is correct. Both A and B is incorrect. Now let's see the experiment 2. In experiment 2, the initial temperature is 24 degrees centigrade and the final temperature is 40 degrees centigrade. So here we are having 24.5. The final is 40 or 40. So it involves rise in temperature, so it must be exothermic. So the sign for delta H is negative in this case. So C must be the right answer because in C you see in experiment 1 that sign of delta H is positive and it's endothermic. For experiment 2, the sign of delta H is negative and it's exothermic. D can't be the correct answer. Moving to next MCQ, which is MCQ number 14. The reaction pathway diagram for endothermic reaction is shown. U, V, and W are known energy values. Which diagram shows the reaction pathway diagram when a catalyst is used in the reaction? You know the function of the catalyst, it reduces the activation energy for the reaction. So that's for sure this reaction is endothermic. So look for the endothermic reaction first of all. So B is incorrect, either A is correct, C is correct, or D is correct. Now they are saying which reaction pathway involves catalyst. So it must be C. You see that requirement for the activation energy decreases here. So it definitely involves the use of the catalyst. So C must be the right answer in this case. Moving to next MCQ, which is at 15. Which process is a physical change? A. Burning a piece of magnesium. When you burn a piece of magnesium, it will react with oxygen. So it's a chemical change. This is incorrect. B. Reacting calcium carbonate with hydrochloric acid. When you react calcium carbonate with hydrochloric acid, you will get salt, water, and carbon dioxide. So this is also chemical change. So this is also incorrect. What about C? Melting an ice cube. This looks correct to me because it only involves a change in state. Change in state, that is solid to liquid. In D, the rusting of an iron nail. This is wrong. The reason is that rusting of iron nail involves a reaction between iron with oxygen and water. So this is also chemical change. It produces rust. Question number 16. The contact process is used to convert sulfur dioxide to sulfur trioxide. Vanadium 5 oxide is the catalyst in this process. The forward reaction in this equilibrium is exothermic. So delta H in the forward direction must be minus. Which statements about this process are correct? The catalyst increases the rate of both the forward and backward reaction. This statement is correct. If this statement is correct, both A and B is correct. C and D is incorrect. It can't be the C or D answer in this case. Number 2, a low pressure increases the yield of sulfur trioxide. Now, if you increase the pressure, if you decrease the pressure, what will happen? It will shift the equilibrium to the side with higher number of moles. Shift the equilibrium to side with high number of moles. So it will definitely does not increase the yield of sulfur trioxide. This is incorrect. So if 2 is incorrect, so B must be the right answer in this case. For your convenience, I'm reading the statement number 3 and 4. A low pressure is used to keep the cost low. This is correct. Because if you increase the pressure, what will happen? High pressurized vessel is used and it's not economical. As well as we have corrosive gases on both sides of the equation. That's why it's preferred to use low pressure. 4, a high temperature increases the yield of sulfur trioxide. This is wrong. High temperature does not shift the equilibrium to the product side. Instead, it will shift the equilibrium to the side, which is endothermic. In this case, it's reactant side. Reactant side is endothermic. So this statement is also incorrect. Yes, MCQ number 17. The equation for the decomposition of hydrogen peroxide H2O2 is shown. 2H2O2 gives 2H2O plus O2. In an experiment, the total volume of oxygen produced is 100 centimeter cube. The experiment is repeated using 1 gram of a solid catalyst. All other conditions remain the same. Which row describes the total volume of oxygen and the mass of the catalyst at the end of the second experiment? And that's for sure that the mass of catalyst will not change, as well as the volume of oxygen produced. Only the state of the solid catalyst will change at the end of the experiment. So C must be the right answer in this case. Moving to next MCQ, which is 18. Nitrogen reacts with hydrogen to form ammonia in the presence of an iron catalyst. The reaction is reversible. Here's the reaction equation. N2G plus 3H2G, reversible sign 2NH3G. Which statement about this reaction is correct? A, the iron catalyst decreases the activation energy of only the forward reaction. But does not only decrease the activation energy of the forward reaction, it will decrease the activation energy in both the directions. So this statement is incorrect. B, When equilibrium is reached, the forward reaction has stopped. This wrong. Equilibrium means the rate of forward reaction becomes equal to rate of backward reaction. See, when the pressure changes, the concentration of ammonia at equilibrium remains constant. We change the pressure, so the concentration of ammonia does not become constant. It will definitely affect on either side, on either side of the reaction. So this is also incorrect statement. Definitely D must be the right statement here. Nitrogen and hydrogen never completely convert to ammonia. The reason is that this is a reversible reaction. It will happen continuously. It will occur again and again. Next MCQ. The equation for a redox reaction is shown. We have H2O2 plus 2Ki plus H2SO4 gives I2 plus K2SO4 plus 2H2O. Potassium iodide is one agent in this reaction because iodide ions 2 electrons, which words complete gaps 1 and 2. Now, if you look at the potassium iodide, what will be the oxidation number of iodide ion here? It's attached, non-metal is attached to potassium ion. It will be carrying minus charge here, -1. So on the product side, it's becoming 0. There is no charge on I2. So it means that there's increase in oxidation number or loss of electron. Increase in oxidation number or loss of electron. Iodide ion has lost electron. That's why the charge on iodide changes from -1 to 0. Either C is correct or D is correct. A and B is incorrect. Because potassium iodide, it's acting as a reducing agent, which means it reduces the other reactant in this reaction. And it's losing electron also. So C must be the right answer in this case. Number 20, element E is in group 2 of the periodic table. Which row describes element E and its oxide? On group 2, here's group 2. Group 2 elements, they are metals, which means some metal. And the oxide, it must be basic. So B must be the right answer in this case. Moving to next MCQ, which is 21. Lead-2 iodide is formed as a precipitate in the reaction shown. Is the reaction equation PbNO3 whole twice aqueous plus 2NaI aqueous gives PbI2S plus 2NaNO3 aqueous. Which method is used to separate the lead-2 iodide from the mixture? Now, lead-2 iodide is a lead-2 iodide. It's produced in the form of precipitate, which means it's insoluble. It's insoluble in the solution. In order to get this insoluble lead-2 iodide, we have to go for the filtration. So D must be the right choice in this case. 22. Which statement explains why sulfur S has similar chemical properties to selenium S? Where is S? S is in group 6. Here's S. S is sulfur. Se is selenium. Now, they are saying they are having similar chemical properties. It depends on the number of electrons in their outer shell. So, both are having same number of electrons in their outer shell. So, A must be the right statement in this case. For a convenience, I am reading the other statements also. B, they are both solids at room temperature and pressure. This is wrong. It has nothing to do with the chemical properties. C, they are both non-metals. It does not suggest or imply that they are having same chemical properties. They both form negative ions. This is also incorrect. So only statement A is correct, as they are having same number of electrons in their outer shell. That's why they are having similar chemical properties. 23. Atoms of sodium, rubidium, and element Q each have one outer shell electron, which means they all belongs to group 1. Some properties of these elements are shown. So we have properties of sodium, rubidium, Q, melting point, boiling point, and density is given. Now they are asking what is Q. Look at the group. This is group 1. In group 1, we have lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium, francium. Now for the sodium and rubidium melting point, you see the difference in melting point. The melting point is decreasing. Boiling point is also decreasing. Density is increasing. What about Q? If you look at the melting point of Q, it's also decreasing. Boiling point and melting point both are decreasing. In density, it's increasing. So this element must be below rubidium. Look at the periodic table. We have cesium or francium. So we have cesium here. Therefore, D must be the right choice for this question. 24. Which statement about elements in group 8 of the periodic table is correct? So we have group 8 elements. It includes helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon, radon, and organism. A. They all have a full outer shell of electrons. This statement looks correct to me. For your convenience, I'm reading the other choices also. They all react with group 1 elements to form ionic compound. This is incorrect. They have full shell of electrons. They do not react. C. They are all diatomic molecules. This is incorrect. They exist as monoatomic gases. D. They are all liquids at room temperature pressure. This is also incorrect. They all are gases. So A must be the right answer for number 24. 25. The electrical conductivity of magnesium is tested. Tested magnesium is then added to dilute sulfuric acid. A gas W is produced. Which rule describes the electrical conductivity of magnesium and identifies W? You know, magnesium is a metal, which means it's a good conductor of electricity. And when this magnesium is reacted with dilute sulfuric acid, the gas produced is hydrogen. So electrical conductivity of magnesium is good. You have A as either correct answer or B. So C and T is incorrect. What about gas W? Gas W is hydrogen. So A must be the right answer in this case. B is incorrect. Moving to next MCQ. Aluminum metals are extracted from its purified ore by electrolysis. Which statement about the electrolyte in this process is correct? A. The electrolyte is purified molten bauxite only. This is incorrect because bauxite is dissolved in molten cryolite, which is the second choice. This electrolyte is purified with bauxite dissolved in molten cryolite. This looks correct to me. For your convenience, I'm reading the other statements also. The electrolyte is purified molten cryolite only. This is incorrect. D, the electrolyte is purified cryolite dissolved in molten bauxite. This is also incorrect. B is the correct statement here. 27. Part of the reactivity series is shown. Potassium, X, calcium, Y, aluminium. Which metals are represented by X and Y? This is something which you have to learn. You have potassium. After potassium, we are having sodium. This is symbol for sodium, Na. And after calcium, we are having magnesium. Mg is a symbol for Y. So B must be the right answer in this case. 28. Some substances found in water extracted from a river are listed. 1. Plastics, 2. Nitrates, 3. Oxygen. Which substances are harmful to aquatic life? We know that plastics and nitrates, they are harmful to aquatic life. Oxygen is not harmful. So A must be the right answer. All the other choices are incorrect. B is plastic is responsible for water pollution, and nitrates responsible for the process eutrophication, which decreases the amount of oxygen content in the river, leading to the death of the whole ecosystem. 29. Car engines which use gasoline as a fuel produce oxides of nitrogen. Oxides of nitrogen are removed from the exhaust gases. Which statements about the formation of removal of oxides of nitrogen are correct? 1. Gasoline reacts with nitrogen in the air to produce oxides of nitrogen. This is incorrect because nitrogen reacts with oxygen in the air to produce oxides of nitrogen. So if one is incorrect, both A and B is incorrect. Either C is correct or D is correct. 2. Gasoline contains nitrogen. This is also incorrect. Nitrogen is present in the air. So we are left with D. D must be the right answer. For convenience, I'm reading these statements also. 3. Nitrogen oxygen react at high temperatures to produce oxides of nitrogen. This is correct. 4. Nitrogen monoxide NO reacts with carbon monoxide CO in a catalytic converter. Yes, this is also correct. In this, nitrogen oxide gets reduced to nitrogen and carbon monoxide get oxidized to carbon dioxide. 30. Which structures represent a pair of structural isomers? So what are structural isomers? They have same molecular formula, but different structures. Different structural formula. So in one, we are having CH3, CH2, CH2, CH2. If you count the carbon atoms here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In 2, we are having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 6 carbons here and we have 7 carbon molecule here. What about 3? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's also 6 carbon, and this looks different from 1. Both of these 1 and 3 have same molecular formula, but have different structure formula. For convenience, I'm checking the last one, fourth one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This contains 6 carbon molecule. If you look at 2 and 4, both of these are same. They have same structural formula. So they are not isomers. Same molecular and structural formula. So 1 and 3, they are isomers. Structural isomer. 1 and 3 is the right answer. So B is the correct choice. 31. Alkanes are a homologous series of hydrocarbons. The table shows the names and boiling points of the first 4 members of the series. Pentane is the next member of the series. Which row gives the molecular formula and the boiling point of pentane? If you look at the trend in boiling point, it's increasing. So at butane, you are having 0 degrees centigrade as its boiling point. So pentane must have higher boiling point than this. So either A is correct or D is correct. Both B and C is incorrect. Recall the general formula of alkanes. It's CnH2n plus 2. And pentane must have 5 carbon in it. So it must be C5H2 multiplied by 5 is 10. 10 plus 2 is 12. C5H12. So D must be the right choice in this case. Moving to next MCQ, which is study 2. Which displayed formula represents the ester formed by the reaction of propane-1-ol with ethanoic acid? So we have the reaction between alcohol and carboxylic acid to produce ester. Remember, the alkyl group must be coming from the alcohol. So in this case, you will be getting propyl coming from propanol and ethanoate is coming from ethanoic acid. So it must be propyl ethanoate. So A must be the right structure because this one is the propyl and this one is the ethanoate. So propyl ethanoate. So A is the right answer. 33. Ethanol can be manufactured by fermentation by the catalytic addition of steam to ethene. Which statement identifies an advantage of using one of these methods? Remember, they are asking only advantage here. And any one of these method. A, catalytic addition requires a high temperature and pressure. This is incorrect because in this you are using high energy. High temperature is used here. as well as pressure, which means it's not advantage, it is the disadvantage for this process. B, ethanol produced by fermentation is extracted by distillation. Again, this requires more procedures to purify the ethanol produced here. So this is not advantage. This is incorrect. C, fermentation is a batch process. Now, in the batch process, you have to wait until the process is complete. So this is also not the advantage. D must be the right answer. The raw material in fermentation is a renewable resource. So this one must be the right uh, choice for this. 34. Which statement about carboxylic acids is correct? A, they react with alkalis to form a salt and water. This is correct statement. For a convenience, I am reading the other statements also. B, they react with metals to form a salt and water. This is wrong. They do form salt, but water is not produced when they are reacted with metals. They will produce hydrogen gas. C, they react with metal carbonates to form a salt, water, and hydrogen. This is also incorrect here. You will get carbon dioxide, not hydrogen gas. D, the general formula for carboxylic acid is CnH2n plus 1 OH. It's incorrect. This is the general formula for alcohol, not carboxylic acid. So A must be the right answer in this case. 35. Structure of a polymer is shown. Which statement about this polymer is correct? We look at this polymer. We have amide linkage here, which means it's a condensation polymer. And if you look at the repeating unit, it's having carboxyl and amine group. Must be having carboxyl and amine group. So it must be obtained from amino acids. So this one is protein. A, alkenes are polymerized to make this polymer. This is incorrect. We are not having alkenes as its monomer. B is a polyester. This is wrong. It's a polyamide as it contains amide linkage in it. C, it's an addition polymer. This is also incorrect. It's formed through condensation polymer. D, water is produced when the polymer is made. This one is correct because water is one of the byproduct produced during this polymerization. So D is the right choice in this case. Moving to next MCQ. Methane undergoes substitution reactions with chlorine and complete combustion with excess oxygen. Which row above the two reactions is correct? Now, condition for reaction with chlorine, it must be ultraviolet light. So either C is correct or D is correct. Both A and B is correct. What about the equation for the complete combustion? Complete combustion, methane is reacted with oxygen and the products are carbon dioxide and water. So D must be the right answer in this case. Other choices are incorrect. 37. What is used to identify the endpoint of an acid-base titration? We need indicator to indicate the completion of neutralization reaction. 38. Four pure substances P, Q, R, and S are tested using chromatography. The same solvent is used each time. The table shows the distance moved by each substance and by the solvent from the baseline. Which two substances are identical? We have substance P, Q, R, and S. Distance moved by each of these substances is mentioned here, as well as the distance moved by the solvent. So what I'm going to do, I will calculate the RF value for these. You know how you're going to calculate the RF? It's calculated by dividing the distance moved by substance by the distance moved by the solvent. So for P, we have 4.5 divided by 10 and we get 0.45. For Q, 3 divided by 20. You will get 0.15. R, 4.5 divided by 20. 0.225. S, which is the last one, 13.5 divided by 30.45. So P and S are identical. So B must be the right answer in this case. Moving to next MCQ, which is 39. A substance is tested with 3 different reagents. Which row shows the results obtained with aqueous iron 2 nitrate? The aqueous sodium hydroxide, it should give green precipitate insoluble in excess. So A, B, and C is correct. D is incorrect because for iron 2 plus iron, we will get green precipitate which is insoluble in excess. What about nitrate? With acidified aqueous silver nitrate, it should be no reaction. So A must be the right answer in this case because in the last one, acidified aqueous barium nitrate is also showing no reaction as it contains nitrate ion. So A is the final answer in this case. Last question. A student carries out a flame test on a sample. The flame color observed is light green. Which ion is present in the sample? Light green is something which you have to learn by heart. It's Ba2 plus. So A is the final answer for this one. Thanks for watching. Press like and share my videos. For more videos, subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon.